Let's just jump right into it. And I'd like to welcome Bec Mitchell to Dare to be Vital with Allan Mishra. I'm delighted you're here. She is a corporate wellness consultant, founder of Groundwork Wellbeing. She focuses on optimization of those workplace athletes. Also a physiotherapist. In the States, we call that a physical therapist, and a clinical Pilates instructor. My question for my guests are really a simple one. What are you doing to thrive during this coronavirus crisis, and what have you been focusing on most?
So for me, me personally, or more, what am I doing with work-wise?
Well, I think people are interested in both, Bec. They're interested, honestly, they want to know exactly what you are doing personally, but then also, what are you trying to do for your clients?
So personally, I am a massive creature of habit, and I'm not naturally like that, but I've kind of learned so much about habit change and behavioral change science over the last few years that I've realized that habit is the key to everything. And if you've got I used to think it was kind of boring to have habits, but I've learned that if you've got your habits down pat, you've got your morning routine, you've planned everything in advance, then you've got all this freedom around that time for creativity and doing all the other stuff you want. So at the moment, I'm really focusing on, I've created myself like a new morning routine, which doesn't involve leaving the house. And that's been vital because it just sets me up for the day where I feel like, I've already done my workout, I've done my meditation, I've prepped my day, and I feel like I've kind of already achieved a bunch of things, which gets you into that really great mindset where you're already kind of feeling productive. And I think that's been key for me. In terms of work, I guess it's been an interesting time because when we first found out about this, obviously most of what I do is in person. I run workshops, I do, meditation classes, it's all in person. And so I kind of thought that would mean that I didn't have that much work on, but it's actually obviously been a really hard time for a lot of corporates and their employees. And so wellbeing has been actually a really popular thing at the moment. So we're doing lots of live webinars and live classes, which I think has been really nice because it means that the groups, like the corporate group, get to come together as a team. They've all got their cameras on and they're sitting there meditating together or doing a stretch class or attending a webinar on how to be healthy at home or something. And it just gives them that nice community feel like they're all coming together to do an activity together, which is really nice.
I think that's really important. And this particular episode of Dare to be Vital came out of like an interesting idea of how to ask people in my network to help enhance vitality. And it's been a staggering response. And I think part of it is people want to reach out and help. And then the connectivity you have with your classes and your courses, they want to see people's faces. And I think what's happened is the technology is radically improved. And it's, you're in Sydney, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area right now. It's seamless. And then when you get to see what I call like the Brady Bunch view, you're way too young to maybe know what the Brady Bunch is, but it's an American TV show. But that Brady Bunch view of seeing your friends or your colleagues and just seeing them smile or being able to react to what you're doing is amazingly valuable. And I think also just catching up with old friends. We've been doing virtual happy hours or calling family members. But do you have any other suggestions about social connectivity, which I think is really what we crave as human beings and what we're really missing right now?
Yeah, I think what you said is such a good point because suddenly we've got this opportunity where we've got a bit more time on our hands and a few more reasons to reach out to people who we may normally neglect a little bit more or might be months before we get in touch. And I'm finding all of a sudden, because I've got evenings where I'm not going out for dinner, I'm not going out for drinks, you've got the whole weekend where I'm scheduling all these catch-ups on the phone with like my grandma and like aunties and friends that live overseas. And it's such a cool opportunity. So I think, my number one suggestion is look out for the people who are most at risk at the moment. So a lot of older people, people who live alone, who they are in their lives. Make sure that you are reaching out in whatever way you can to give them a call. And it does make so much difference. I've been trying to make sure I call my mum every day, and I've set up some little live free exercise classes for older people that I'm getting my mum and grandma involved in so that they can all kind of have like the live formats that I've got a bit of routine in their day and, a bit of interaction. I get them to help pick the music and those sorts of things. So anything you can do to make them feel like they're kind of part of your world, part of your community, I think is so important at the moment.
Well, that's awesome. So do you have a couple quick suggestions for older people who are at home maybe that don't have any equipment, that may be allergic to going to the gym, but just to get them to move or stretch in any way that's pretty simple, because we know that any movement's good, and especially at this time when they're not getting out maybe as much, or they're afraid to go to connect with other people. Any specific suggestions?
Yeah, and I think it's so true that most older people, maybe like walking is their normal form of exercise, and at the moment that's limited. So, I mean, some simple things, just like every time you go to get up off a chair, do 10 sit to stands instead of just one. So like stand up, sit back down, do that 10 times. Or get up and like every time there's an ad break, if you're watching a TV show, just do a few laps of your house, and like set yourself, I think, little challenges throughout the day is really important. Otherwise, there are, if they are older people who have access to the internet, YouTube, there's lots of, if you type in like gentle exercise workouts for older people, they can come along to my little free classes. But I think there are lots of online formats available. Otherwise, just like making excuses to move more during the day is really great.
That is super key. Now I'm going to reiterate what you just said, because I do have my patients who have difficulty moving or walking. I have them do sit to stands. And so you and I know what that means, and it sounds kind of dumb, but it's basically you're sitting down and you stand up and then you sit back down, and you do that 5 or 10 times. Now, it doesn't sound like an awesome exercise for those of us who maybe gym rats or love to go working out and running all the time. But if you are homebound or you haven't exercised too much, doing a simple sit to stand, 5 or 10 of them, safely, make sure you have an armchair where you can lean back down as you go back down. That can be transformative for people over time. So I think of this other book that's really, gosh, it's closing in 100 years old. It's called The Little Engine That Could. So it's about this little blue engine that goes up the mountain. I don't know if they have that in Australia, but if you haven't seen it, it's a great one for your older patients, because I tell them, okay, you're going to be the little engine that could. You're going to give me 10 sit to stands 3 times a day. And then before you know it, they're not only getting up and out of the chair better, they're walking around their house or their neighborhood much better. And I love your idea of doing laps around the house. So if you're on commercials, we skip through them now, right? Or we watch Netflix, but maybe schedule 5 laps around your house or your apartment or whatever per day. Those are really awesome, simple exercises that people can do. Now, how about if you're just sitting around, and I see a lot of shoulder patients in my office, but do you have any like chair or desk type shoulder stretches or frankly arm stretches? Because sometimes people are maybe typing too much. Anything they can do?
I mean, I always say, like, a lot of older people have shoulder issues, as you know. And so a lot of the like standard like tricep stretches and stuff are too aggressive for them. Yeah. So I often focus on trying to get them just moving their spine a little bit more, which helps a lot with the shoulder girdle, I find. So doing things like a basic like left hand over your right knee, twisting around and getting that spine moving, and like doing that each side. If they can, just stretching hands up overhead 5 times. Obviously, those across body ones, if they feel okay. Some older people I just find don't tolerate those sorts of ones as well. But it's anything that just like get like dancing, I think, is one of the best ways to get moving. I just find sometimes like the aggressive shoulder stretching, if people have shoulder issues, they don't tolerate it, but they definitely tolerate like just moving freely. And that sort of movement is so nice for lubricating everything. You know more about this than I do, but getting everything moving, I find. Now
I've got a selfish question, because I can't go to my gym. They've closed off some of the hikes around the Bay Area, which is amazing. It's amazing to me that the hikes have been closed. I think some people were congregating too much. And then I tried actually to go to the sporting goods store just before they shut it all down. All the dumbbells were gone. It was like the toilet paper. So now I'm stuck with a couple small dumbbells. I've got a jump rope. Trying to think, it's like a cupboard. I'm trying to think, what do I have in terms of exercise? Maybe some push-up bars. But the opposite of the older people, what do you do for the exercise junkies who are like, dogs or teenagers that need to be exercised?
Yeah, I think I've been scheduling myself in workouts, and so there are lots of online workouts which are all really good, and so many people are doing them for free now, which is really lovely. I think at the moment, like most of our gyms either will have a really small payment where you're just supporting and keeping them thriving at the moment, or free workouts, which just, I find that motivation of having someone up there, even though they're not physically there to yell at you, sort of yelling at you, is enough to be like, they're like 20 burpees, keep going, let's go. And it just keeps you motivated. The other thing I've been doing is setting up my own circuits in the house. So based on exercises that I've done previously, when I used to go to gym classes, I set up like 5 stations around the house, and I use things like a backpack filled with textbooks, which a lot of us might have some old textbooks or things lying around the house, and strapping that can get super heavy, and doing like squat work, squat jumps, even you could like go crazy and do burpees or something with the backpack on, and then using anything you've got around the house, like baked bags of rice. I think there is lots of ways that we can innovate. People, if you've got children at home, I've seen lots of great online workouts with people using their kids, and they're actually perfect because they're quite like small but heavy. So you can use them for overhead press, that sort of stuff.
That's a good idea. So if you have a 35 to 40 pound child, you can do multiple. Just be careful, don't drop.
Yeah.
No dropping. Don't drop the kids. So why don't we just finish up real quickly with something that, I do want to stay focused. And I think you said to me when we talked previously to give yourself a chance just to not have to solve every equation or, cure cancer. Give yourself a break. All right. And I've been watching perhaps a little bit too much TV, but how about podcasts or really good books? I mean, I'm reading a really dense, very difficult, wait for it, physics book right now, but it's blowing my mind in a good way because I'm able to kind of chew on a little bit more of it each day. But what are you trying to do either to totally chillax and not feel guilty, which is okay, or maybe branch into something that you haven't had a chance to in a book, podcast, or TV show?
Yeah, that's a great point, because I do see this like extreme version. There's either people that are like completely slobby on the couch doing nothing, or the other extreme where they're like putting all this pressure on themselves to like get a PhD, like learn German, and also like get a 6-pack in the next 3 months. So I think there is a happy medium. I've just been making sure I schedule time in my day for working on self-improvement stuff, working on my business, and then also downtime. And I think if you calendar that into your diary, that makes a big difference. It kind of makes you feel like it's okay to take that 2 hours to read a book or to play the ukulele or whatever it is that you want to get involved in with all this free time that we now have. Books I love. So if you're wanting something for at the moment, James Clear's Atomic Habits I really like, which is all about creating behavioral change and like setting those habits and routine optimization. I think a good one for the times is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, which is one of my like all-time favorites. And it's just a nice, like really applicable no matter what's going on in the world, and just really nice little quotes and stuff in there that I find always buoy me up. Podcasts, I'm trying to think. I always love Making Sense with Sam Harris because it's got some nice intellectual stimulation. Otherwise, I'm just listening to Stuff You Should Know, which I really enjoy at the moment because I feel like I've got a bit more brain capacity just to learn some cool new things. They do one on COVID-19, but if you're trying to avoid that whole sphere of things at the moment, they've got like every topic you could imagine. Like you can learn about wars in the past or like how rubber is made. And I think it's just a cool chance when you've got a bit more brain capacity maybe to learn all these cool new topics.
That's hilarious. Stuff You Know is one of my favorite. In fact, I feel like I could just listen to that every day because it is really fascinating to think about those things that we should know more about. And then they just explain it very carefully. Yeah. Well, I think we should let you go on that one, Bec. But I really appreciate it. By the way, for those people who don't know what a diary is, it's your schedule. It's the English or the Aussie way of saying schedule. They're going to be like, what's a diary? I can't do it.
Like a personal, I think it's like a personal diary. You're like writing about
right. They're going to say, okay, I got to put it in my journal. No, diary, but I get it. So it was delightful to talk to you. I really appreciate your advice and thoughts, and thank you, and best of luck with all your work. And I hope everybody's safe and healthy down in Sydney and Australia.
Thank you. Same to you.